Playing support in Overwatch is probably one of the hardest positions you can have. And if you have a bad support, no matter how good DPS you have or how amazing your tank can be, obviously to a certain extent, you will probably struggle that game if you can even pull the win off, right? So my hope is through this video, you guys will figure out the mechanics to a good support, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing. So before we dive straight into this, I am going to be live streaming on Twitch pretty often. Actually, I've done it pretty much daily for the past few days. So I hope you guys tune in, and yeah, drop a follow, chill, talk with me, and it should be a good time. And as always, make sure you guys do subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'm going to be tuning out a lot of videos for you guys, good guides, some gameplay, some amazing content for Overwatch. So as always, make sure you guys drop a sub, and let's dive straight into this. Alright, so the best way to go over this is to pretty much go sort of healer by healer or support by support, and we're going to be focusing on, I'd say, 2 to 3 main ones in this video. There's a lot more supports, as you guys know, but these are the ones that are meta right now, and I would highly recommend using them. You can obviously carry with any support, but these are going to be the ones that are going to get the job done as easy as possible. So we're going to be starting off with Myra. Now, when it comes to Myra, as you guys know, I'm a Myra main, so I have to start off with Myra. You know, it's just amazing support, and you can carry insanely well. Now, the key to Myra is to realize that Myra is not just a healer, right? You need to understand that. If you don't understand that, I would recommend playing maybe Mercy or Ana instead. So with Myra, you can actually dish out quite a bit of damage, and you do have lifesteal from your damage. So you are actually able to heal as you're dealing damage. And if players do not respect, and this is very important, if players do not respect how much damage a Myra can put out, you can probably wipe them out before they can even react, especially if you time your damage bubble correctly, which is pretty much your purple bubble, right? The yellow one is for healing. You guys know the basics. So the next thing you need to realize with Myra is that her ult is extremely powerful, right? So when it comes to Myra's ult, as soon as you use it, I would be on the lookout for a sleep, for a knockdown, for some sort of CC to cancel your ult, which is why you have to be careful. And one of the best ways to counter this ult, I would highly recommend, is you have a Sombra on your team, which is once again everyone's most hated enemy to go against, but we love to use her, of course, right? So what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to hack a Myra as they're using their ult, right? You have to stop that ult. You cannot carry out a team fight against a Myra that is ulting, doing damage to you, and healing her teammates, right? Myra ult can absolutely beam the living life out of you, and the teammates of the Myra are pretty much unkillable to a certain extent unless they're extremely squishy and you get a lucky headshot, right? So what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to avoid the bubbles of the Myra, right, if you're countering the Myra, and you're going to want to CC that ult as soon as it comes out. I don't know if you guys know this, if you guys are aware of this, but the Myra ult actually lasts for quite a bit of time. It is not an ult that you use it and it's gone in like 3 seconds. I think it lasts upwards of like 6 or 7 seconds, obviously give or take, but you're going to want to shut that ult down immediately. And that's going to be pretty much everything you kind of want to know for Myra. Other than that, I would say highly make sure you're practicing your positioning. Make sure you do have all the movement on lock. I think what makes a very good Myra, what makes a talented Myra, what kind of separates brain dead users from an actual Myra main is your movement, right? Make sure you're dashing at the right time, know your cooldowns, know what you're going up against, and as much health as you have, as much lifesteal as you have, you are still very killable. And I think a lot of people need to respect that, right? A Myra is very easy to kill. If you get an insanely good DPS, a Genji for example, flanking from the rear, and you're not able to react in time, you can pretty much get triple hit and just die before even noticing, right? So Myra is very squishy. Once again, you also do die to D.Va's ult, I'm pretty sure, unless you're hiding behind objects or projectiles. So once again, Myra is very easy to counter if you're playing right, but if not, a Myra will absolutely turn your game into hell. So I'll highly recommend you guys know how to counter a Myra. How to play a Myra is a lot easier than countering. Next up, we have Mercy. Now, when it comes to Mercy, it is a lot easier. Your movement here could also separate you, same as Myra. Reason being because Mercy is very easy. You kind of have 2 main skills you're going to be using the whole time. Most people won't really go for a Mercy just because a Mercy isn't going to be dishing out a lot of damage like Myra, right? So you're not going to be a target for a lot of fights. You're going to be kind of in the back line, either damage boosting, which will be basically the blue aura that you guys see around your teammates, or you have your yellow aura once again, which is very common in Overwatch. That's just basically healing. So Mercy is very easy. There's not really much to go over, but other than make sure you're using your E-bomb skill at the right time, using it on the right teammates or the right opponents, and make sure you're timing your cooldowns very well. I think when it comes to different roles in Overwatch, support class probably has the most crucial cooldown times, right? You can pretty much tell your entire team to disengage and wait until you have your skills ready, right? If your DPS doesn't have their cooldown ready versus a support that doesn't have the cooldown ready, that is a whole different animal, and I need you guys to pay attention to this, right? If your healer cannot throw out that healing orb, if you're playing a Myra or a Mercy, you have your bomb, then there's not really the health there, right? And it doesn't matter how much damage you have, how many cooldowns you have as a DPS or a tank, if you're not getting the heals, you are going down, right? A lot of team fights in Overwatch basically comes down to who drops first. That's honestly all there is to it, and most of that is due to the supports, really. How good the supports are at healing, how good they are at maneuvering, are they dishing out a lot of health, are they watching their cooldowns properly? And you guys probably notice this in a lot of fights, right? I do want to focus on Mercy, but sidetracking on this is actually very important, right? You will probably notice that when you have a big fight of a 5v5, as you guys know what's Overwatch 2 now, and I honestly love this change. I think 6v6 was a bad idea in general. Fights are a lot more strategic and fun now. Anyways, besides the point, right? You'll notice there will be a little big fight that varies from little to big, right? And everyone's getting engaged. There's a lot of shots going off. There's a lot of healing, a lot of skills. You might even get confused at times, but you'll notice that it just keeps going on and on and on. There isn't really much happening until boom, suddenly they're dropping like flies, and you'll notice their support is dead, right? So support positioning is insane, right? With Mercy, this is huge. Make sure you're flying into there at the right time. Make sure you're using your damage boost on your Zarya if she has her bubble up and she's going in there terrifying people, right? So I think for Mercy, once again, it's very simple. All you have to do is be on the lookout for your cooldowns, heal properly, position in the air properly. A good Mercy with a good positioning is also very hard to kill, once again, and that's kind of what you want to do. You want to be hard to kill, right? If you're the support and you're the first one to go down, believe me, unless you got like ranked 1 DPS on your team is going down. And honestly, that's just the sad reality of the game, right? Your team is going down. Yeah, so once again, make sure you guys are doing this properly and make sure you are positioning properly, especially as a Mercy. I'd say more than a Myra, just because you don't have that dash skill that lets you basically get away from a sticky situation as a Mercy. You're kind of stuck there and you can't really dish out damage like a Myra, so you know, you're kind of like the lesser of a threat, so you are going to get focused a little bit harder than normal. Alright, and for the last hero we are going to be going over, and trust me, on this one I was debating because I only wanted to do 3 heroes. As you guys know, I like to keep my videos short and sweet, just so I can basically keep you guys entertained as much as possible, because that's what matters to me the most, right? So what I was broken up between were Zenyatta and Lucio. Those two kind of for me are 50-50. If I see my teammate with it, I'm like, okay, like maybe he doesn't want to play Myra, maybe he's bored of Myra and Mercy or Anna, etc. So maybe he just wants something different, because honestly, they're not really the best healers out there. They're not bad at all by any means, right? I think that's the beauty of Overwatch. Honestly, any hero is insane, right? But there are some heroes that are just exceptional or easier to play, and you know, just more meta. You know, just like any game, there's always going to be meta, right? But everything kind of works in the end, right? So when it comes to the hero we have chosen to end off the video with, we are gonna go with Zenyatta, right? So honestly, there's really not much more to it besides the ult, which is insane. I believe it's some sort of immortality. Your team is healed to full and you pretty much don't get killed for that duration. Why do I say this? Because it is the perfect counter to Zarya, right? A lot of people have been asking me, hey yo iTeHee, please make a guide for how do we counter Zarya, and honestly, that's the best counter. If you're going against the insane Zarya and you don't know what you're going up against and how much damage they have, just pick Zenyatta as your support, maybe secondary support if you're not trusting the full heals ability, right? And just use the ult. As soon as the ult from Zarya goes out, your team gets immortality, and what's going to happen is maybe the Genji will use his ult, and you know, all the team will waste their ults and your team ain't taking damage. Eventually 1 or 2 might drop, but it's going to save your entire team, right? So honestly, Zenyatta made it up in this list just because of the ult. Is completely insane. Very good ult, a great counter to a lot of abilities, mainly Zarya's ult, just because it does kind of shut down your entire team, especially if you're bundled up together. And that pretty much kind of wraps up this video, right? There isn't really much more to go over, right? Support is a very important role, as I mentioned before, which is why I kind of made it. It helped me climb the ranks pretty quickly. I went from bronze to gold as a new Overwatch player in just the span of like 3 or 4 days, right? So highly recommend you guys do play support, follow these tips, and if you guys have any questions or any concerns about what other videos you guys would like to see, drop the comment down below. And if you enjoyed, as usual, make sure you guys do subscribe. That's pretty much gonna wrap up today's episode. Once again, have a great one. Make sure you guys do tune into the live streams, and peace.